Look at the screen. A bunch of identical black squares. Suddenly, a red circle appears. Your eyes darted to that red circle before you formulated a conscious choice to look at it. This instant reaction is driven by what Daniel Kahneman calls fast thinking. Consider this grid of chihuahua faces and blueberry muffins. You don't have to study these images to tell them apart. Your automatic processing system identifies the differences without any deliberate mental effort. When digital products are built strictly for slow, conscious analysis, they often ignore the automatic visual systems that actually steer user behavior. This mismatch forces the user to expend unnecessary mental energy just to find their bearings. That extra work creates immediate friction. If the interface doesn't account for how the subconscious brain scans a page, the user has to work against their own biology to find what they need. John Whalen addresses this in Design for How People Think. He argues that user experiences aren't contained on a glass screen. They are the result of specific cognitive processes happening inside the brain. Whalen identifies 6 of these processes, the 6 minds, which function as independent systems running simultaneously to form our perception of an experience. We can see the impact of this framework by looking at just 2 of those systems, the Rapid Visual Attention Network and the Conscious Language Processing Center. Mapping this chronological pipeline from the first millisecond of sight to the moment of reading reveals the underlying logic of intuitive products. This logic begins with the visual pop-out. When an object stands out from the features around it, it acts as a magnet for the brain's attention system. Specific variables trigger this automatic draw. As shown, when an object's shape, size, or orientation breaks the pattern, the eyes lock onto it. The effect is stronger with weight, position, and color. This red square represents an outlier. The visual system cannot help but prioritize. These biological rules dictate how we scan digital interfaces. Eye tracking data, visualized here in a heat map, shows a consistent F pattern. Users scan the top and the left side, following the visual path that their automatic systems find most salient. Without these visual pop-outs to guide them, a user's attention wanders. If the key action doesn't stand out biologically, it effectively doesn't exist to the user. However, getting a user to look at a button is only the first step. Sight is not the same as comprehension. To move further, the brain must hand off the data. The green spotlight here represents the visual cortex, which handles the fast, automatic processing required to locate an object in space. Once the eyes fixate on text, the language center, shown here in pink, takes over. This system is slower and requires conscious effort to decode strings of letters into meaning. This transition is a point of failure for many products. If the layout successfully grabs the user's attention, but the words at the destination are confusing, the experience breaks down. Solving this requires closing the semantic gap, the distance between the word on the screen and the abstract concept the user associates with it. This semantic map shows how meanings branch out from the user's personal context. Toward the edges, vocabulary becomes highly specialized. Using terms your audience expects builds trust, while the wrong insider language causes friction and abandonment. UX design acts as a translator. It must align the visual cues of the subconscious with the specific semantic vocabulary of the conscious mind. A cohesive experience requires these disparate cognitive systems to function as a single unit. Designers use contextual interviews to find this alignment. By observing users and recording their native vocabulary, they uncover mental models that dictate the final design. Audit your own product by checking 2 things. Does the visual hierarchy guide the user's eyes to the right place automatically? And once they are looking, does the language match the concepts already in their head? Great design happens when a product mirrors the biological timeline and linguistic framework of the human mind.